Standing beside his fiancée, the millionaire CEO heard a judge ask, "Do you deny this child is yours?" Hi, my beautiful family. Welcome back to Mr. Peter Stories, your own family story channel. Heavenly God, today we bow our hearts before you with humility and gratitude. Please cover every woman in this family with your divine protection. Give her strength when she is tired, peace when she is overwhelmed, and honor that the world often forgets to give. She is the silent pillar of every home, the unseen sacrifice behind every success, the heartbeat that keeps families alive. Bless her health, her mind, her dignity, and her future. Let no woman here ever feel weak, invisible, or alone, because in your eyes, she is precious and powerful. My beautiful family, this channel was built with love, respect, and emotion. Every story is written with care, especially for the women who listen, feel, and understand deeply. When you stay, when you listen till the end, it gives meaning to my words and strength to my heart. We are not just viewers here. We are one family, walking together, supporting each other with love and trust. If your heart is true, like the video. If your love is real, write, "I am with Mr. Peter." The moment Tom Bruce realized his life was about to implode started with the sound of a door opening. He stood in the Manhattan family courtroom beside his fiancée, Ivy Sutherland, his hand resting lightly on the small of her back. The prenuptial asset hearing was supposed to be a formality, 20 minutes, signatures, done. Then back to planning their wedding at the plaza. 800 guests, a chamber orchestra, Vera Wang dress, magazine coverage, the merger of two perfect lives. Judge Catherine Brennan shuffled papers at her bench, reading glasses perched on her nose. Tom checked his watch. He had a board meeting in an hour. Ivy leaned close, her Chanel perfume filling his senses. "After this, lunch at Daniel?" she whispered. Tom nodded. Everything in his world was controlled, scheduled, perfect. Then Judge Brennan looked up with an expression Tom couldn't read. "Before we proceed, I need to address an emergency motion filed this morning. Case number 4478, Elena Roy versus Tom Bruce, paternity matter." The words hit Tom like a physical blow. His hand dropped from Ivy's back. The air left his lungs. Ivy turned to him, confused. "What is she talking about?" Tom couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The courtroom door opened, and Elena walked in. 7 years collapsed into a single second. Tom's vision narrowed. The woman walking through that door wasn't the Elena he remembered from his memories. She wasn't the girl who used to dance in his kitchen wearing his shirts. She was a force of nature in a burgundy power suit, her hair swept back, diamond studs in her ears, walking with the confidence of someone who'd built an empire from ashes. Behind her, holding her hand, was a little girl. Tom's heart stopped. The child had his eyes, his dimples, his stubborn chin. She wore a navy blue dress with white flowers, her hair in 2 neat braids, and she looked terrified as she gripped Elena's hand and stared at the crowded courtroom. "What the hell is this?" Ivy hissed beside him, but her voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. Tom's mother, Willa, gasped from the gallery. She'd been sitting behind him with his father, Ford, and his sister, Piper. Tom heard his mother's sharp intake of breath, heard his sister whisper, "Oh my God," heard his father say his name with disappointment already thick in his voice. Eleanor's lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s named Geneva Cross, approached the bench. "Your Honor, my client has been attempting to notify Mr. Bruce of his daughter's existence for 7 years. She was blocked, ignored, and threatened with legal action. We've filed this emergency motion because Mr. Bruce is about to enter into a marriage contract without disclosing this child, which affects asset distribution and parental rights." Ivy's hand found Tom's arm, nails digging in. "Tom, what is she talking about? Who is that woman?" Tom finally looked at Ivy. Her perfect face was twisted with confusion and rising panic. They'd been together for 6 years, engaged for 1. He'd never mentioned Elena, never said her name, had buried that part of his life so deep he almost convinced himself it never happened. "I can explain," Tom said, but his voice cracked. "Can you?" Ivy's eyes were filling with tears. "Can you explain why there's a woman claiming you have a child? Can you explain why I'm finding out about this in a courtroom?" Judge Brennan banged her gavel. "Ms. Sutherland, Mr. Bruce, please approach the bench with Ms. Roy and her counsel." Elena didn't look at Tom as they stood side by side in front of the judge. She kept her eyes forward, jaw set, one hand holding her daughter close to her side. The little girl peeked around her mother's legs to stare at Tom with open curiosity. Tom couldn't stop looking at her, at his daughter, because that's what she was. He knew it in his bones. The shape of her face, the way she tilted her head, the dimples that appeared when she pressed her lips together nervously. Judge Brennan opened a file. "Ms. Cross, present your evidence." Geneva Cross handed over a manila envelope. "DNA results from an independent laboratory, Your Honor, obtained from Mr. Bruce's discarded coffee cup outside his office building, compared against a cheek swab from the child, Sadie Louise Roy. The results show a 99.9% probability of paternity." The courtroom erupted. Reporters in the back started typing on their phones. Tom's mother let out a sob. Ivy made a sound like she'd been punched. Judge Brennan studied the documents, then looked directly at Tom. Her expression was hard, unforgiving. She'd been a family court judge for 20 years. She'd seen every kind of deadbeat father, every excuse, every lie. "Mr. Bruce," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos, "do you deny this child is yours?" Tom opened his mouth. Nothing came out. He looked at Elena for the first time, really looked at her. She was staring straight ahead, but he could see it. The rage. 7 years of rage burning behind those eyes he used to know better than his own. Her jaw was clenched so tight he could see the muscle jumping. Her hand was white-knuckled on her daughter's shoulder, their daughter's shoulder. Tom started, then stopped. Memories crashed over him like waves. Elena in his old apartment, dancing to no music, her head on his chest, him whispering, "I'm going to marry you." Elena bringing him lunch at his office when he worked late, kissing his forehead, telling him she believed in him. Elena laughing so hard at something stupid he said that she snorted wine out of her nose, and they both ended up on the floor crying with laughter. An old woman at a restaurant stopping by their table to say, "You two remind me of my husband and me. We were married 40 years. You have something real. Don't let it go." He let it go. He threw it away. "Mr. Bruce," Judge Brennan repeated, harder this time, "I asked you a question. Do you deny this child is yours?" Tom looked down at Sadie. She was staring up at him with those eyes. His eyes. She had one finger in her mouth, the other hand clutching a small stuffed rabbit. She looked scared and confused, and so heartbreakingly small. "No," Tom whispered. Then louder, "No, Your Honor, I don't deny it." The courtroom exploded again. Ivy's sob cut through the noise. Tom turned to her, reaching for her hand, but she jerked away like he was poison. "Don't touch me," Ivy choked out. Mascara ran down her perfect cheeks. "Don't you dare touch me!" She ripped the 8-carat engagement ring from her finger and threw it at his chest. It bounced off and clattered to the floor. Then she turned and ran from the courtroom, her heels echoing on the marble, her mother running after her, calling her name. Tom stood there, numb, watching his fiancée disappear. When he turned back, Eleanor was staring at him, finally looking at him, and the hatred in her eyes made him want to die. "You didn't know," she said. It wasn't a question. It was an accusation. Her voice was quiet, but it carried. "You didn't know because you blocked me. You erased me. You threw me away like I was nothing." "Elena, I swear I didn't." "Don't!" The word came out like a whip crack. "Don't you dare say my name. You lost that right 7 years ago when you broke up with me via text message and blocked my number. You lost that right when your security threw me out of your building. You lost that right when you started dating her a month later like I never existed." Tom's sister Piper was crying openly in the gallery. His mother had her face in her hands. His father looked at him with an expression Tom had never seen before: disappointment, disgust, shame. Judge Brennan banged her gavel. "Order. Ms. Roy, you'll have time to give your full testimony. For now, I'm ordering an immediate DNA test through the court to verify these results. Mr. Bruce, you'll submit to testing within 48 hours. This hearing is adjourned until Friday at 10 a.m., at which time we'll address custody, visitation, and child support." Geneva Cross leaned down to Sadie. "You did so good, sweetheart. We're going to go now, okay?" Sadie nodded, but she was still staring at Tom. She tugged on her mother's jacket. "Mommy," she said in a small voice, "why are you crying?" Eleanor looked down at her daughter, and her face crumpled. She swept Sadie up into her arms, holding her tight. "I'm okay, baby. Let's go home." As Eleanor carried Sadie toward the courtroom doors, Tom took a step forward. "Eleanor, please, let me—" Eleanor stopped, didn't turn around, just spoke over her shoulder, her voice cold and hard. "Stay away from my daughter." Then she was gone. Tom stood in the empty space where she'd been, surrounded by chaos. Reporters shouting questions, his mother sobbing, his lawyer trying to say something about damage control, his phone buzzing non-stop with calls from his board of directors, his business partners, his publicist. But all Tom could see was that little girl's face, his daughter, Sadie. All he could hear was Elena's voice. "Stay away from my daughter. Not our daughter. My daughter." And Tom realized that somewhere in the last 7 years, while he was building his empire and dating the perfect woman and appearing on Forbes covers, he'd become something he never thought he'd be. A man who abandoned the woman he loved, a man who didn't even know his own child existed, a man who deserved every ounce of hatred burning in Elena's eyes. Tom's father appeared beside him, gripping his shoulder hard enough to hurt. His voice was low and trembling with anger. "That little girl looks exactly like you did at that age. Exactly. Which means you've had a daughter out there for 6 years, and you didn't know because you threw away the only woman you ever really loved. Tell me, son, was it worth it? Was the money worth it? The company? The perfect life you built?" Tom looked at his father, opened his mouth to answer, but he had nothing to say, because the answer was no, and it was too late to matter. Chapter 2. The Love That Made Everyone Believe. Elena Roy took the witness stand at the resumed hearing 3 days later, and the moment she began speaking, the entire courtroom fell silent. "You want to know about Tom Bruce?" Her voice was steady, but her hands gripped the edges of the witness box until her knuckles turned white. "Let me tell you about the man I thought I knew, the man I loved so completely that losing him nearly killed me." Tom sat at the defendant's table, unable to look away from her. She wore a simple black dress, her hair pulled back, no jewelry except small pearl earrings. She looked exhausted, beautiful, and exhausted, and so far away from him, she might as well have been on another planet. Judge Brennan leaned forward. "Ms. Roy, please tell the court about your relationship with Mr. Bruce." Eleanor took a breath. When she spoke, her voice carried across the silent room. "We met 8 years ago at a business networking event in Brooklyn. I was 24, trying to get investors for my first spa. Tom was 26. Building his software company from nothing. We both reached for the same champagne glass at the bar." A ghost of a smile crossed her face, bitter and sad. "Our hands touched. He said he wasn't letting go until I told him my name. Everyone in that room stopped what they were doing to watch us. We talked for 3 hours straight. I forgot there was an event happening, forgot about networking, forgot about everything except him." Tom remembered. God. He remembered every second of that night, how she'd laughed at his terrible jokes, how her eyes lit up when she talked about her dreams, how he'd walked her home and stood outside her building until sunrise because he couldn't bear to say goodnight. "His best friend Quincy pulled him aside that night," Eleanor continued, "told him he'd never been jealous of Tom until that moment. That's what we were. The couple people were jealous of. Geneva Cross approached the witness stand. Can you describe your relationship for the court? Elena's eyes went distant, like she was seeing the past playing out in front of her. For 2 years, we were inseparable. People would stop us on the street, complete strangers. An old man at a bodega near Tom's apartment gave us free coffee one night. His name was Santos. He said in 42 years of running that store, he'd only seen real love maybe 3 times. He said we were one of those times. Tom closed his eyes. They'd gone to Santos's bodega every week for 2 years, at 2 in the morning after working late. Santos would have their coffee ready before they walked in, would wave away their money, would tell them stories about his wife who'd died young. When Tom told Santos they were talking about getting married, the old man had cried. We went back to that bodega every week, Elena said, her voice breaking. Santos cried when we told him we were going to get married, except we never did, because Tom left me before he could keep that promise. Objection, Tom's lawyer stood. Your Honor, this is overly emotional testimony. Overruled, Judge Brennan said sharply. Sit down, counselor. The witness may continue. Eleanor wiped her eyes quickly. My cousin Halsey brought her boyfriend to meet us at dinner one night. Halfway through the meal, she excused herself to the bathroom. I followed her. She was crying. I asked what was wrong. She said watching Tom and me made her realize she and Derek didn't have real love, that they were settling. She said we made her want to break up with him and wait for something real. Tom's mother Willa was crying silently in the gallery. His sister Piper had her arm around their mother, tears streaming down her own face. His father sat rigid, jaw clenched, staring straight ahead. Did other people comment on your relationship? Geneva asked. All the time. Elena's voice was barely above a whisper now. Tom's business partner before the company exploded, a guy named Jackson, was going through a divorce. He saw us at Tom's office one day. I'd brought Tom lunch, kissed his forehead, left. Jackson told Tom he'd just signed his divorce papers, and watching us made him realize his marriage had been dead from the start. He told Tom he was lucky, told him not to mess it up. Tom remembered that day, remembered Jackson's words, remembered thinking he was the luckiest man alive because Eleanor loved him. There was a Sunday at a farmer's market, Eleanor continued, lost in memory. Tom was carrying my bags. I was laughing at something ridiculous, he said. A teenage girl, maybe 16, stopped us. She apologized for being weird, but said we looked so in love it made her cry. Said she wanted what we had when she grew up, asked if she could take a picture. Elena pulled out her phone with shaking hands, showed it to the judge, to the court. I still have that picture. I look at it when I can't sleep, when I need to remember that what we had was real, that I didn't imagine it. The bailiff passed the phone to Judge Brennan. The judge looked at the photo for a long moment, then at Tom. Her expression was unreadable. Tell the court about meeting Mr. Bruce's family, Geneva prompted. His mother Willa hosted Thanksgiving, Eleanor said, looking directly at Willa now. I helped her make pies. We got flour everywhere. Tom took pictures. His Aunt Ruth, who'd been widowed for 10 years, pulled Willa aside. I overheard her say that's what she'd had with her husband Henry. Real love, that most people never find it, that Tom was blessed. Willa let out a sob. Piper held her tighter. After Ruth left, Willa told Tom that if he ever let me go, she'd disown him. Eleanor's voice turned hard. He laughed, like it was impossible. Like we were forever. Did you discuss marriage and children? Geneva asked. Every day. Elena's hands were shaking now. We talked about having 3 kids, a house with a big kitchen, growing old together. Tom said he wanted a daughter first, said he wanted a little girl who looked like me. I told him I wanted a son who had his eyes. She looked at Tom for the first time since taking the stand. We got the daughter. She has your eyes, but you weren't there to see them. The courtroom was completely silent. Even the court reporter had stopped typing, riveted. "What happened to change your relationship?" Judge Brennan asked. Elena's face went cold. "Money happened. Success happened. Tom's company got massive investor interest. A venture capitalist named Briggs Holloway came in with a huge funding offer, but he had conditions. Tom had to relocate to San Francisco, work around the clock, eliminate distractions." She said the last word like it tasted like poison. "I was a distraction." "That's not true," Tom said before he could stop himself. His lawyer grabbed his arm, but Tom jerked away. "Elena, that's not—" "You told me I was too needy," Elena said, her voice rising. "You told me I didn't understand the pressure you were under. You missed my second spa's grand opening because you were in Tokyo. I called you crying, and you told me to stop being so emotional. Your new business partner Lennox kept telling you that guys like you had to sacrifice relationships for success, and you listened to him instead of me." Tom wanted to argue, wanted to explain, but every word she said was true. He had said those things. He had missed her opening. He had chosen everything over her. "Then Ivy Sutherland entered your life," Geneva said. "An investor's daughter. Tell the court what happened." Elena's composure cracked. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I was opening my second location. Tom promised he'd be there. He wasn't. We fought on the phone. I said I felt like I was losing him. He said maybe I was too needy for that phase of his life. Those exact words, too needy, like loving him was a character flaw." Tom's chest felt like it was caving in. He remembered that phone call, remembered being annoyed that she was upset, remembered thinking she didn't understand what he was building. "3 days later, I went to the doctor," Eleanor said. "I'd been feeling sick, thought it was stress. The doctor did a pregnancy test. It was positive. I sat in that exam room and glowed, literally glowed, because I thought this was it, this was our future, the baby we'd talked about." She paused, collecting herself. "I called Tom. No answer. I called again and again. Then I got a text message." She pulled out her phone, scrolled, read it aloud. "I think we want different things. This isn't working. Take care of yourself." The courtroom collectively gasped. Tom's mother made a sound like a wounded animal. "That's how he ended a 2-year relationship," Elena said. "A text message. While I was sitting in a doctor's office pregnant with his child. I called back. He'd blocked my number. I showed up at his office. Security removed me. His assistant told me he was with his new girlfriend and that I should stop harassing him or they'd get a restraining order." "And did you stop trying to contact him?" Geneva asked. "No." Elena's voice was fierce now. "I tried for months. I called from different numbers, sent registered letters to his company. They all came back unopened. I emailed his work address. Auto-response said he'd moved on and to stop contacting him. I showed up at a tech conference where he was speaking. His security team grabbed me before I could get close." She looked at Tom's sister Piper. "I saw you at a charity gala when Sadie was 4. You noticed her. I saw you staring at her. I knew you could see the resemblance, but I grabbed Sadie and left before you could ask questions. Because by then I'd decided something." "What had you decided?" Judge Brennan asked. "That Tom Bruce didn't deserve to know his daughter existed. That a man who could throw away love like it was garbage didn't deserve to be called father. That Sadie was mine, just mine, and I would protect her from the kind of man who could abandon someone he claimed to love." Tom stood up, his lawyer trying to pull him back down. "I didn't know," Tom said, his voice breaking. "Eleanor, I swear to God, if I had known—" "You didn't want to know," Eleanor shouted, standing at the witness box. "You blocked me. You erased me. You acted like our 2 years together never happened. You started dating Ivy a month after you left me. A month, while I was pregnant and alone and terrified. So don't you dare stand there and tell me you would have come back if you'd known. You wouldn't have, because you didn't love me. You loved your company. You loved your success. You loved your perfect new life, and I wasn't part of that anymore." The judge banged her gavel. "Ms. Roy, Mr. Bruce, please sit down." Eleanor collapsed back into the witness chair, sobbing. Tom sank into his seat, his whole body shaking. Judge Brennan looked at both of them with something like sadness. "Ms. Roy, did you pursue child support through the courts?" Elena shook her head. "No, Your Honor. I didn't want his money. I wanted my daughter to have a father who loved her. Since I couldn't have that, I chose to do it alone." "And why are you here now?" "Because my daughter asks about her father every single day. Because she sees her friends getting picked up from school by their dads and asks why she doesn't have one. Because she drew a family tree at school and left the father spot blank and her teacher called me in tears. Because no matter how much I give her, how much I love her, I can't be both parents, and she deserves to know who her father is, even if he's a man who threw away the best thing he ever had." Judge Brennan closed her file. "Court is adjourned until Monday, at which time we'll hear testimony regarding the 7-year period of Ms. Roy raising this child alone. Mr. Bruce, I'm ordering supervised visitation starting immediately. You'll meet your daughter under the supervision of a court-appointed monitor. Maybe then you'll understand what you've missed." As the courtroom emptied, Tom tried to catch Elena in the hallway. She was holding Sadie's hand, walking fast toward the exit. "Elena, please," Tom called. She stopped, turned. Her eyes were red and swollen, but the rage was still there. "My lawyer will send you the visitation schedule. Show up or don't. It's your choice. It always has been." Then she looked down at Sadie, who was staring at Tom with wide, curious eyes. "Come on, baby. Let's go home." As they walked away, Tom heard Sadie ask in her small voice, "Mommy, is that man my daddy?" Elena's response was too quiet to hear, but Tom saw her shoulders shake as she picked up her daughter and carried her out of the courthouse, and he knew she was crying. Chapter 3. The night he threw her away. The next hearing brought something Tom hadn't expected, witnesses who remembered what he'd done. Elena's best friend Gemma took the stand first, a woman in her 30s with kind eyes that turned hard when she looked at Tom. "I've known Elena since college," Gemma testified. "I was there through the whole relationship with Mr. Bruce. I watched them fall in love, and I watched him destroy her." Geneva Cross walked Gemma through the timeline. "Tell the court about the breakup." "Elena called me sobbing," Gemma said. "It was late afternoon. She'd just left her doctor's appointment. She said she was pregnant. Said she'd been trying to call Tom to tell him, but he wasn't answering. Then, while we were on the phone, she got his text. The breakup text. She read it to me." Gemma's voice hardened. "I think we want different things. This isn't working. Take care of yourself." That's what he said to the woman carrying his child. She tried calling back. Blocked. She was hysterical. I drove to her apartment, found her on the bathroom floor. She'd been throwing up from crying so hard. She kept saying, "I'm pregnant," over and over like she couldn't believe it. Tom's hands were clenched so tight his nails drew blood from his palms. "What happened next?" Geneva asked. "I stayed with her that night. She barely slept. Kept checking her phone, hoping it was a mistake, hoping he'd call. He never did. The next morning she called her parents." Gemma's voice broke. "They lived in Boston. They got in the car immediately to come see her. They never made it." The courtroom went silent. "A drunk driver hit them head-on," Gemma continued, tears streaming down her face. "They died instantly. Elena got the call while she was still in her pajamas, still hoping Tom would come back. In one day, she lost the man she loved and both her parents, and she was pregnant, alone, 24 years old, no family except the baby inside her." Tom felt like he'd been punched in the chest. Eleanor's parents were dead. He didn't know. He'd never asked, never cared enough to find out. His mother Willa was sobbing openly now. His father had his head in his hands. "I moved in with Elena," Gemma said. "Helped her plan her parents' funeral while she was falling apart. She was so pregnant at the funeral that strangers kept asking where the baby's father was. She'd just say he wasn't there, wouldn't elaborate. She was grieving her parents and her relationship at the same time. I honestly didn't think she'd survive it." "But she did?" Judge Brennan asked quietly. "Barely." There were nights I'd wake up and find her sitting in the nursery she'd set up, crying so hard she couldn't breathe. She'd look at baby clothes and toys and pictures of Tom on her phone. I told her to delete the pictures. She couldn't do it, said she needed to remember that what they had was real, that she hadn't imagined it. Geneva pulled out a document. "Ms. Gemma, is this the call log from Elena's phone during the months following the breakup?" Gemma looked at it, nodded. "She called Tom from my phone, from her work phone, from blocked numbers, every number she could get. He never answered. She sent emails, letters, all returned. His assistant finally threatened legal action if she didn't stop." "What was your impression of Elena's emotional state during her pregnancy?" "She was broken." Gemma didn't hesitate. She'd go through the motions, work at her spa, go to doctor's appointments alone, but she was a shell. I went with her to her ultrasounds. The tech would ask where the father was. Eleanor would just say he wasn't involved. At her 20-week scan, they told her it was a girl. Eleanor started sobbing. I asked if she was okay. She said Tom always wanted a daughter first. Tom felt tears running down his face and didn't bother wiping them away. "Tell the court about the birth," Geneva said softly. Gemma took a shaky breath. "Eleanor's water broke at midnight. She was alone. I lived across town and couldn't get there in time. She drove herself to the hospital, was in labor for 19 hours. They said she needed an emergency C-section. The anesthesiologist asked who her support person was. She said she didn't have one." Gemma looked directly at Tom. "A nurse held her hand during the surgery because no one else would." The courtroom was dead silent except for muffled crying from the gallery. When they brought Sadie to her, Elena looked at this perfect little girl and broke down completely, not from joy, from loneliness. The nurse asked if she wanted to call the father. Elena said he didn't exist. Gemma wiped her eyes. "She came home 3 days later. I tried to help, but I had to work. There were nights Elena would call me at 2 in the morning, crying, saying she couldn't do it, that she was failing, that Sadie deserved better. I'd go over and find her on the couch, Sadie screaming, Elena crying just as hard. She had postpartum depression. Bad. Her doctor prescribed medication. She could barely afford it because she'd spent everything on the spa and Sadie. Did she ever discuss Mr. Bruce during this time? Every day. She'd say things like, Tom would know what to do, or Tom would make Sadie laugh, or Tom promised he'd be here for this. She still loved him, even after everything. She couldn't turn it off. Geneva let that sink in. When did she stop talking about him? When Sadie was about 2. Eleanor came to my apartment one day. She'd been crying. She said she'd been driving past Tom's old office and saw him on the street with Ivy Sutherland. They were laughing. He looked happy. Eleanor said she realized he'd moved on completely while she was still drowning. That day, she deleted every photo of him from her phone, threw away everything that reminded her of him, told me she was done grieving a ghost. But she wasn't done, was she? No. Gemma's voice was barely a whisper. I'd still catch her crying sometimes, late at night after Sadie went to bed. She never really stopped loving him. She just got better at hiding it. Tom's lawyer stood for cross-examination. Miss Gemma, isn't it true that Miss Roy could have filed for child support at any time, that she chose not to? Yes, she chose to struggle alone rather than ask anything from a man who'd made it clear he wanted nothing to do with her. So, this is a choice she made, to keep Mr. Bruce's daughter from him. No, Gemma said firmly, this is a choice he made, when he threw away the woman he supposedly loved via text message, when he blocked her everywhere, when he threatened her with a restraining order. Eleanor tried everything. He made it impossible, so she did what any good mother would do. She protected her child from a man who'd proven he could abandon people he claimed to love. When Tom's lawyer tried to continue, Judge Brennan cut him off. I've heard enough. Next witness. A woman in her 60s took the stand. Her name was Trina Mitchell. She worked as a grocery store cashier. Do you remember Ms. Roy? Geneva asked. Oh, yes. Trina's expression was sad. She used to come in late at night with her baby, always looked exhausted, always counted her money before she got to check out. Do you remember a specific incident? Trina nodded. Baby was maybe 4 months old. Elena came in around 11 at night. Baby was sleeping in the car seat. Elena had diapers, formula, bread, peanut butter. She kept adding things up in her head. Got to my register. Card declined. Tom felt sick. She looked mortified, Trina continued. People behind her were getting annoyed. She asked to try again, still declined. She started taking things out. Formula, diapers, down to just bread and peanut butter. Card finally went through. She was crying, trying to hide it, but I could see. She loaded her baby back in the cart and left. I went to the break room and cried. I have 3 kids. I know what it looks like when a mother is drowning. Did you see her again? Every week for years. Sometimes her card would work. Sometimes she'd have to put things back. She never complained, never asked for help, just did what she had to do. Then one day, maybe 2 years ago, she came in and her card went through no problem. She'd made it, built her business. But I'll never forget those early years. That woman raised that baby alone and barely survived it. Tom wanted to run from the courtroom, wanted to disappear. But he forced himself to sit there and listen to every word. This was what he'd done. This was the cost of his choices. Elena's old landlord testified next, a man named Rafael Diaz. Ms. Roy was the best tenant I ever had, Rafael said. Never late on rent, even though I know she was struggling. But I remember one time she called me crying. Sadie was maybe 6 months old. Said her heat was out. It was January. She couldn't afford to call a repair person. I came over immediately, found her sitting in her apartment with the oven on, holding her baby, both of them in winter coats because it was so cold. Raphael looked at Tom with disgust. I fixed her heat for free, asked where the baby's father was. She said he wasn't in the picture. I asked if she needed help. She said she was fine. But she wasn't fine. She was barely holding on. Witness after witness took the stand. People who'd seen Elena struggle, who'd watched her build a life from nothing while raising a baby alone. Each testimony was another nail in the coffin of Tom's defense. Finally, Elena took the stand again. I need to tell you about one more night, she said quietly. The worst night. The night I almost gave up. The courtroom held its breath. Sadie was 4 months old. She had colic, screamed for hours every night. I hadn't slept in days. My spa was barely making money. My bank account was almost empty. My parents were dead. I had no one. It was 2 in the morning. Sadie was screaming. I'd tried everything, feeding her, changing her, rocking her. Nothing worked. Eleanor's voice cracked. I put her in her crib, went to my car, sat in the driver's seat, started the engine, and I thought about driving. Just driving and not coming back, or driving into something, ending it, because I was so tired and so alone and so completely broken. Tom's mother gasped. His sister was openly crying. I sat there for 10 minutes with the engine running, Elena continued. Then I heard Sadie crying through the open window. And I realized something. She needed me. I was all she had. If I gave up, she'd have nothing. So I turned off the car, went back upstairs, picked up my baby, and I decided that even though her father had abandoned us, even though I was alone, even though I was drowning, I would survive. For her. She looked directly at Tom. That's what you did to me. You broke me so completely that I considered leaving our daughter alone in the world. You destroyed the woman I was, the woman who believed in love and happy endings. You turned me into someone who had to choose survival over dreams. Judge Brennan's voice was thick. Ms. Roy, how did you eventually succeed? I stopped sleeping, worked at the spa during the day with Sadie in a playpen in my office, did accounting at night after she went to bed. Clients started noticing the quality of my work. Word spread. I opened a second location, then a third. I built an empire because I had to, because Sadie deserved better than a mother who'd given up, but every success felt hollow because the person I wanted to share it with was gone. She stood up from the witness chair. You want to know if I kept Sadie from Tom? Yes, I did. After he made it clear he wanted nothing to do with me. After he blocked me everywhere. After he started a new life like our 2 years together never happened. I decided my daughter didn't need a father who could throw away love so easily. I was wrong. She needed to know who he was, but I won't apologize for protecting her from a man who'd proven he could abandon the people he claimed to love. As Elena walked past Tom to leave the courtroom, he reached for her hand. Elena, please. Let me explain. She jerked away like his touch burned. You had 7 years to explain. You chose silence. Now you get to live with the consequences. Then she was gone, and Tom was left sitting in a courtroom full of people who'd just heard exactly what kind of man he was. The kind who'd destroyed the only real love he'd ever had. The kind who'd driven the mother of his child to the edge of suicide. The kind who didn't deserve forgiveness. Chapter 4. The labor room with empty chairs. The supervised visitation was scheduled for Thursday afternoon at Elena's building. Tom arrived early, standing outside the luxury high-rise in Tribeca, with a bag full of gifts he'd spent all night picking out. Stuffed animals, books, a dollhouse. Everything he'd missed giving his daughter for 6 years, crammed into one desperate attempt to make her love him. The court-appointed supervisor, a woman named Dr. Lydia Hayes, met him in the lobby. She was in her 50s, professional, clinical. She'd seen hundreds of deadbeat dads trying to buy back their children's affection. Mr. Bruce, before we go up, I need to set some ground rules. This is Sadie's first time meeting you as her father. She's 6 years old. She's scared and confused. You will not overwhelm her. You will not make promises you can't keep. You will let her set the pace. Understood? Tom nodded, unable to speak. They took the elevator to the 15th floor. Dr. Hayes knocked on Elena's door. It opened, and there she was. Elena, looking exhausted in jeans and a sweater, her hair in a messy bun. Behind her, peeking around her legs, was Sadie. Hi, sweetheart, Dr. Hayes said gently. Remember me? We talked on the phone. I'm Dr. Hayes, and this is Tom, Sadie said in a small voice, staring at him. The man from the courthouse. That's right, Dr. Hayes said. Tom is your daddy. He's going to spend some time with you today. Is that okay? Sadie looked up at Elena, uncertain. Elena knelt down, smoothing Sadie's hair. It's okay, baby. I'll be right here, right in the kitchen. If you need me, just call. You won't leave? Never. Elena kissed her forehead. Then she looked at Tom, and her eyes were cold. 1 hour, not a minute more. She walked away, leaving Sadie standing in the middle of the living room, clutching a stuffed rabbit, staring at Tom like he was a stranger, which he was. Dr. Hayes sat on the couch. Why don't you show Tom your room, Sadie? Sadie shook her head, hiding behind Dr. Hayes. Tom knelt down, trying to make himself smaller, less threatening. Hi, Sadie. I brought you some presents. Would you like to see them? Why? The question caught him off guard. Because I wanted to get you something nice. But you don't know me. Sadie's voice was quiet but matter-of-fact. Kid logic, cutting straight to the truth. How do you know what I like? Tom looked at the bag full of expensive gifts and realized she was right. He had no idea what his daughter liked, what her favorite color was, what books she read, what made her laugh. You're right, he said quietly. I don't know you, but I'd like to. Would that be okay? Sadie considered this. My friend Tessa has a daddy. He picks her up from school. He knows she likes strawberries, but not blueberries. He knows she's scared of thunderstorms. Do you know what I'm scared of? Tom's throat closed up. No, I don't. I'm scared of the dark, Sadie said, and loud noises, and that Mommy will disappear like my grandparents did. Your grandparents? They died before I was born. Mommy says they would have loved me, but I never got to meet them, just like I never got to meet you. Tom felt like he'd been gutted. Sadie, I didn't know you existed. If I had... That's what Mommy said. She said you didn't know about me. But Miss Nora at school says daddies who don't want their babies will say anything. Is that true? Didn't you want me? Dr. Hayes started to intervene, but Tom held up a hand. This little girl deserved the truth. I didn't know about you, Tom said, his voice breaking. Your mommy tried to tell me, but I'd done something very, very bad. I'd stopped talking to her. I'd hurt her, so she couldn't reach me. And by the time I found out about you, you were 6 years old. But Sadie, I need you to understand something. The moment I saw you in that courtroom, the moment I looked at your face, everything changed. You are the most important thing in the world to me now. More important than your company? Tom blinked. What? Mommy says you chose your company over us. That's why you left. Is your company more important than me? Tom's heart shattered into pieces. He looked over at the kitchen, where he could see Elena standing with her back to them, shoulders shaking. She was listening to every word. No, Tom said firmly. Nothing is more important than you. I was wrong. I was stupid. I made the worst choice of my life, and I can't take it back. But I'm here now, and I'm not leaving again. Ever. Promise? I promise. Sadie studied him for a long moment. Then she held out her stuffed rabbit. This is Mr. Floppy. He's my best friend. Mommy got him for me when I was a baby. Tom gently took the rabbit. It was worn, clearly well loved. One ear was sewn back on. He's perfect. He used to have both eyes, but I loved one off. Sadie giggled, and the sound was the most beautiful thing Tom had ever heard. Mommy says you can love things so much they fall apart. Tom handed Mr. Floppy back. Your mommy is very smart. She cries at night sometimes. The words hit Tom like a punch. She does? Sadie nodded seriously. She doesn't know I hear her, but I do. She looks at pictures on her phone and cries. Are they pictures of you? Tom couldn't breathe. I don't know, baby. I think they are. Because sometimes she says your name when she's crying. Dr. Hayes cleared her throat, clearly emotional. Sadie, honey, why don't you show Tom your drawings? Sadie ran to her room and came back with a folder full of crayon drawings. She sat on the couch next to Tom, still maintaining distance but not hiding anymore. This is Mommy, she said, pointing to a stick figure with long hair. This is me. This is Aunt Gemma. This is Grandma Willa. Tom looked at the drawing. You've met Grandma Willa? She came to visit. She cried a lot. But she's nice. She brought me a music box and told me stories about when you were little. Sadie looked up at him. Did you really eat a whole jar of peanut butter when you were my age? Tom laughed through his tears. I did. My mom was so mad. I like peanut butter too. Mommy makes me peanut butter sandwiches for lunch every day. She cuts them into triangles. Triangles are the best shape for sandwiches. Sadie smiled. A real smile. And Tom felt something shift in his chest. For the next hour, Sadie showed him her drawings, her toys, her books. She told him about school, about her teacher, Miss Rivera, about her best friend, Poppy. She didn't call him Daddy, just Tom. But she talked to him, and that was enough. When Dr. Hayes said time was up, Sadie didn't argue. But as Tom stood to leave, she tugged on his shirt. Tom, will you come back? Yes, every time I'm allowed, I promise. Okay. She hugged Mr. Floppy tight. Maybe next time you can meet Poppy. She's really nice, and she doesn't have a daddy either. Maybe you could be both our daddies. Tom's voice broke. I'd like that. As Dr. Hayes led Tom to the door, Eleanor appeared from the kitchen. Her eyes were red and swollen. She'd heard everything. "Thank you for being honest with her," she said quietly. "Eleanor, don't. Just show up next time, that's all I ask. Just show up." Tom left the apartment and made it to the elevator before he completely broke down. Dr. Hayes stood beside him, handing him tissues. "That was good, Mr. Bruce. Honest. That's what she needed." "She asked if I chose my company over her," Tom said, his voice wrecked. "She's 6 years old and she already knows I abandoned them." Children are perceptive, but they're also forgiving. If you keep showing up, keep being honest, you have a chance to build something real with her. Tom nodded, wiping his eyes. "Did you hear what she said about Elena crying at night?" "I did. She still loves me." Tom looked at Dr. Hayes. "After everything I did, she still loves me." "Love doesn't turn off like a light switch, Mr. Bruce. But love also doesn't erase pain. Whatever you're hoping to rebuild with Ms. Roy, it's going to take more than showing up for your daughter. It's going to take time, consistency, and proof that you're not the man who left." Tom took the elevator down to the lobby, stepped out onto the street and called his best friend Quincy. "I just met my daughter," Tom said when Quincy answered. "Really met her, and she asked if I chose my company over her." Quincy was quiet for a moment. "What did you tell her?" "The truth. That I did, that I was wrong, that nothing is more important than her now." "And is that true? Or are you just saying what she wants to hear?" Tom looked back up at Elena's building. "It's true. I'd give up everything to go back and choose them. But I can't. So I have to figure out how to be the father she deserves now." "Then stop talking and start doing," Quincy said. "Words are cheap, man. Especially yours. After what you did, the only thing that matters is action." Tom hung up and stood on the sidewalk for a long time, staring up at the 15th floor, where his daughter was probably showing her mother the drawings she'd shared with him. Where the woman he destroyed was probably crying alone in her kitchen, where his family lived without him. And Tom made a decision. Starting tomorrow, he was going to earn his way back into their lives, no matter how long it took. Chapter 5. The Daughter Who Breaks Him. Tom's phone rang at 6 in the morning. He jolted awake, immediately afraid. Early morning calls never meant good things, but it wasn't bad news. It was Dr. Hayes. "Mr. Bruce, I wanted to inform you that Sadie asked if you could come to breakfast this morning. Elena has agreed. Can you be there by 7? Tom was out of bed before she finished the question. "I'll be there." He arrived at Elena's building at 6:45. Holding a bakery box of fresh croissants and a coffee for Elena, he'd remembered exactly how she liked it. 1 sugar, splash of cream, cinnamon on top. He'd bought it from the same coffee cart they used to visit together 8 years ago. The owner, an old woman named Irene, had recognized him immediately. "Tom Bruce," she'd said, her accent thick. "I remember you and your beautiful girl, the one with the smile. Where is she?" "She's upstairs," Tom had said, "with our daughter." Irene had cried and given him the coffee for free. Now Tom stood outside Elena's door, nervous as a teenager on a first date. When Elena opened the door, her eyes went immediately to the coffee cup in his hand. "Is that from Irene's cart? 1 sugar, splash of cream, cinnamon on top." Something flickered in Eleanor's eyes. Pain, maybe, or memory. "You remember." "I remember everything." She took the coffee without thanking him and walked away, leaving the door open. Tom took that as permission to enter. Sadie was sitting at the kitchen table in pajamas with unicorns on them, eating cereal. When she saw Tom, her face lit up. "Tom, you came! Mummy said you might be too busy, but you came." Tom shot a look at Elena, who was pointedly not looking at him. So that's how it was going to be. She expected him to fail, expected him to prove her right. "I'll always come when you ask," Tom said, sitting down across from Sadie. "Always." "Mommy makes pancakes on Saturdays, but today isn't Saturday. Do you like pancakes?" I love pancakes. Me too, with chocolate chips. Mummy makes them in star shapes. Tom watched Elena at the stove, her back stiff. Your mum always made the best pancakes. Elena's shoulders tensed, but she didn't turn around. Sadie chattered through breakfast about school, about a spelling test she had next week, about how her friend Poppy was teaching her to do cartwheels. Tom listened to every word like it was scripture. Tom, Sadie asked, pushing her cereal bowl away, can I ask you something? Anything. Did you love my mommy? The kitchen went silent. Elena froze at the sink. Tom's heart hammered. Yes, he said simply, more than anything in the world. Then why did you leave? Because I was scared. I thought I needed to be successful and important to be happy. I thought that was more important than love. But I was so wrong. Sadie considered this with the seriousness only children can manage. Miss Rivera says when you make mistakes, you should say sorry and try to fix them. Did you say sorry to Mommy? I tried, but some mistakes are so big that sorry isn't enough. Oh. Sadie's little face fell. Does Mommy still love you? Elena's coffee cup clattered into the sink. Sadie, that's not appropriate. It's okay, Tom said quietly. Then to Sadie, I don't know, baby. You'd have to ask her. Sadie turned to her mother. Mommy, do you still love Tom? Elena's face went pale. She looked at Tom, then at Sadie, and Tom could see the war happening behind her eyes. The truth versus what she thought she should say. Protecting her daughter versus being honest. That's complicated, sweetheart. But you cry at night and say his name. I heard you. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Sadie, we've talked about eavesdropping. I wasn't eavesdropping. I was getting water and I heard you. You were looking at pictures on your phone and crying, and you said, Tom, why did you leave us? So you must still love him, right? Tom stood up, unable to stay seated. Elena, don't. Her voice was sharp, but her hands were shaking. Don't you dare use our daughter's observations to... I'm not using anything. I just need you to know that I still... Stop! Elena held up a hand. Sadie, go brush your teeth. School bus comes in half an hour. But now, baby, please. Sadie looked between her parents, clearly sensing the tension. She slid off her chair and ran to her room. Mr. Floppy clutched tight. The moment Sadie's door closed, Elena whirled on Tom. You don't get to do this. You don't get to come into my home and make my daughter think... Think what? That her parents might love each other? Is that so terrible? Yes, Elena's voice cracked. Because you don't love me. You loved the idea of me, the version of me that fit into your old life. But the moment I became inconvenient, you threw me away. And I will not let Sadie grow up thinking that's what love looks like. I did love you. I still... Don't say it. Elena's eyes were blazing. Don't you dare stand in my kitchen and tell me you love me. You don't love me. You love the ghost of who we were. You love the memory of something you destroyed. That's not love. That's guilt. Tom took a step closer. You're wrong. Am I? Then tell me, Tom. If you could go back to that day, the day you got the funding offer, the day you had to choose between your company and me, what would you choose? The question hung in the air like smoke. You, Tom said immediately. I'd choose you, every time, without hesitation. Eleanor laughed, but there was no humor in it. That's easy to say now that you've seen what you lost. But back then, back when you had everything to gain and only me to lose, you chose the company, and I believe that version of you more than this one. Then let me prove it. Let me show you I've changed. You want to prove it? Elena moved closer until they were inches apart. Then be Sadie's father, show up, be consistent, be the parent she deserves, but don't use her as an excuse to get back into my life. Don't use our daughter's desire for a complete family to try to fix what you broke between us. Because I'm not some prize you win back by being a good dad. I'm a person you destroyed, and I'm still trying to put the pieces back together. The bathroom door opened and Sadie emerged, toothbrush in hand. "Can Tom take me to school?" Elena and Tom both turned to look at her. Elena started to say no, but Tom spoke first. "Only if your mom says it's okay." Sadie looked at Elena with those big, hopeful eyes. Elena looked at Tom, clearly torn. "Please, Mommy, all my friends' dads take them to school. I want Tom to take me, just once. Please." Elena closed her eyes, took a breath. "Fine. But Tom, you bring her straight to her classroom. You don't stop anywhere. You don't buy her things. You don't make promises. Understood?" "Understood." Sadie let out a squeal and ran to get her backpack. Elena followed her daughter to help her get ready, leaving Tom standing in the kitchen alone. When they came back, Sadie was in her school uniform, backpack covered in unicorn pins, Mr. Floppy tucked into the front pocket. "Ready?" Tom asked. "Ready!" Elena knelt down in front of Sadie. "Be good today. Listen to Miss Rivera. I love you." "Love you too, Mommy." Sadie hugged her mother tight, then grabbed Tom's hand without hesitation, just grabbed it like it was the most natural thing in the world. Tom looked down at his daughter's small hand in his and felt his entire world shift. Elena watched them leave, and Tom caught the expression on her face just before the elevator doors closed. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even pain. It was fear. She was afraid of letting him in, afraid he'd hurt Sadie the way he'd hurt her, afraid of hoping. Tom held Sadie's hand as they walked to her school, which was only 2 blocks away. Other parents stared. Some recognized him from the news. Some whispered. Sadie either didn't notice or didn't care. "Tom," she asked as they walked. "Yeah, baby." "When you were little, did you ever wish for something really, really hard?" "All the time. I wished for a daddy. For my whole life. Every birthday, every time I saw a shooting star, every time I lost a tooth, I wished for a daddy." Tom had to stop walking, had to kneel down right there on the sidewalk. "Sadie, and then you showed up, in the courtroom, and I thought maybe wishes do come true, but then I heard Mommy crying and I got confused, because if you're my wish come true, why is Mommy so sad?" Tom pulled his daughter into his arms and hugged her tight. She smelled like strawberry shampoo and childhood. "Because I hurt your mum really badly, and now she's scared I'm going to hurt you too. But I won't. I promise you, Sadie. I will never, ever leave you again." "Can you promise to never hurt Mommy again too?" Tom pulled back, looked into his daughter's eyes. "I can promise to try really, really hard. But your mom might not want me to fix things with her, and that's okay, because even if she never forgives me, I'm still going to be here for you, always." Sadie nodded seriously, then she took his hand again. "Come on, I don't want to be late." They walked the rest of the way in comfortable silence. At the school entrance, other kids were arriving with their parents. Sadie waved to a little girl with braids. "Poppy, this is Tom. He's my—" She paused, looking up at Tom uncertainly. "I'm her dad," Tom said firmly. "Hi, Poppy." Poppy's eyes went wide. "You have a dad now? That's so cool. My dad left when I was a baby. I don't remember him." Sadie squeezed Tom's hand tighter. "Tom left too, but he came back. Maybe yours will too." Tom's heart broke all over again. He walked Sadie to her classroom, met Miss Rivera, who gave him a long, assessing look that said she'd heard all about him, and watched his daughter sit down at her desk with the other kids. As he turned to leave, Sadie called out, "Tom, will you pick me up today?" Every eye in the classroom turned to him. Miss Rivera watched carefully. The other parents dropping off kids paused to listen. "Yes, I'll be here at 3 o'clock, right outside your classroom door." "Promise?" "I promise." Sadie beamed. "Okay, bye, Tom." Tom left the school with parents whispering behind him. He made it 2 blocks before he had to sit down on a bench and put his head in his hands. His daughter had wished for him her entire life. While he was building empires and dating other women and pretending his past didn't exist, his little girl was wishing on stars for a father. Tom pulled out his phone and called his assistant. "Clear my schedule for today, all of it. Mr. Bruce, you have the investor meeting at... Cancel it." "But sir, they're flying in from..." "I don't care. Cancel everything. And from now on, I need my schedule cleared every weekday at 3. I'll be picking up my daughter from school." There was a pause. "Your daughter?" "Yes, my daughter. The one I should have been picking up for the last 6 years." Tom hung up and sat on that bench until it was time to go back to Elena's apartment. He needed to tell her his plan, needed her to know he was serious. When Elena opened the door, she looked surprised to see him. "What are you doing here? Sadie's at school." "I know. I need to talk to you." "Tom, please, just 5 minutes." Elena sighed but let him in. She was in workout clothes, clearly about to leave for the gym or her spa. "I'm picking Sadie up from school every day," Tom said without preamble. 3 o'clock. "I've already told my assistant to clear my schedule." Elena crossed her arms. "For how long?" "Forever." "You can't promise that." "Watch me. I'm also going to be at every parent-teacher conference, every school play, every doctor's appointment, whatever she needs. I'm there." "And when you get bored? When the novelty wears off? When your company needs you more than she does? Then I'll choose her. Every time. I promise you, Elena, I'm not leaving again." Elena studied him for a long moment. "Words are easy, Tom. I need to see action. Consistent action. Not for a week or a month, for years. Prove to me that Sadie can depend on you, then maybe, I'll believe you. I will. I'll prove it every single day." Elena walked to the door, opened it. "Time's up. I have to get to work." Tom left, but as he walked to the elevator, he heard her voice behind him. "Tom?" He turned. Elena was still standing in the doorway, arms wrapped around herself. "She really wished for you, every birthday, every shooting star. She told me once that she wished so hard she thought her heart would break." Tom felt tears burning his eyes. "Elena, don't let her down. Whatever you do, whatever choices you make, don't break that little girl's heart." "I won't. I swear on my life." Elena nodded once, then closed the door. Tom rode the elevator down with tears streaming down his face, and for the first time in 7 years, they weren't tears of regret. They were tears of determination, because he had something to fight for now, someone to be better for, and he wasn't going to waste this chance. Chapter 6. The Mother Who Chose Them Both. Tom was waiting outside Sadie's classroom at 2:55 that afternoon, 5 minutes early. He'd been there for half an hour, actually, too nervous to be late. When the bell rang and kids started pouring out, Sadie's face lit up when she saw him. She ran straight into his arms. "You came. You really came." "I told you I would." Poppy appeared beside them, looking at Tom with curiosity. "Hi again, Mr. Tom. Sadie talked about you all day." "She did?" "Yeah. She told everyone you took her to school and you're going to pick her up every day now. Miss Rivera said that's a big responsibility." Tom looked through the classroom door at Miss Rivera, who was watching them. She gave him a nod. A small one, but a nod nonetheless. "It is a big responsibility," Tom said to Poppy, "but Sadie is worth it." "I wish my dad thought I was worth it," Poppy said matter-of-factly. Then she skipped away, leaving Tom gutted. As Tom walked Sadie home, she chattering the whole way about her day, his phone rang, his mother. "I heard you picked Sadie up from school," Willa said, her voice careful. "How did you—" "Elena's neighbor saw you. She goes to my book club. Word travels fast." Tom laughed despite himself. "Of course it does. Tom, I need to see my granddaughter. Really see her. Not just one awkward visit. Can you ask Elena if I can come over tomorrow?" Tom looked down at Sadie, who was skipping beside him, completely trusting. "I'll ask." When they got back to Eleanor's building, Tom walked Sadie upstairs. Eleanor opened the door, clearly surprised he'd actually shown up. "Hi, Mummy. Tom was right on time. He was even early." Eleanor's eyes met Tom's over Sadie's head. She didn't say anything, but he saw it. A tiny bit of surprise, maybe even a hint of respect. "My mom called," Tom said. "She wants to come visit Sadie tomorrow. Is that okay?" Elena hesitated. "I don't know if—" "Please," Sadie interrupted. "Grandma Willa is really nice. She tells good stories, and she cried, but she said it was happy crying." Elena closed her eyes, clearly torn. "Fine. Tomorrow after school. 1 hour." "Thank you," Tom said softly. "Don't thank me. This is for Sadie, not for you." But when Tom turned to leave, Eleanor caught his arm. Her touch sent electricity through him. "You showed up," she said quietly. "On time." "I said I would. People say a lot of things. I'm not people. Not anymore." Elena let go of his arm and stepped back. "We'll see." The next day, Tom brought his mother to Elena's apartment. Willa was nervous, clutching a gift bag, her eyes red from crying. When Elena opened the door, the two women stared at each other for a long moment. They'd been close once, before Tom destroyed everything. "Willa," Elena said quietly. "Elena," Willa's voice broke. "I'm so sorry for what my son did, for not fighting harder to find you, for missing 6 years of my granddaughter's life." Elena's composure cracked. "You don't have to apologize for him." "Yes, I do. I raised him. And somehow I raised a man who could walk away from the best thing that ever happened to him." Sadie appeared behind Elena. "Grandma Willa, you came." Willa knelt down, and Sadie ran into her arms. The older woman held her granddaughter tight, sobbing. "Look how big you are," Willa said through tears. "Last time I saw you, you were so small. Now you're practically grown up." "I'm 6 3/4, Sadie said seriously. "That's almost 7. That's almost grown up indeed." Tom stood in the doorway, watching his mother with his daughter, and felt something shift in his chest. This was what family was supposed to look like, what he'd thrown away. Eleanor went into the kitchen, leaving them in the living room. Tom followed her. "Thank you for this," he said quietly. Eleanor was making coffee, her back to him. "She's Sadie's grandmother. She deserves to know her. She loved you, you know, when we were together. She used to tell me you were the daughter she'd always prayed for." Elena's hands stilled on the coffee pot. Don't what? Don't remind me of what we were, of how your whole family loved me, of how I thought I'd found my place. It just makes it hurt more." "What if I want it to hurt?" Tom moved closer. "What if I want you to remember? Because maybe if you remember how good it was, you'll give me a chance to—" "To what?" Elena turned and her eyes were blazing. "To break my heart again, to make me believe in something that doesn't exist. I'm not that girl anymore, Tom, the girl who believed in fairy tales and happily ever after. That girl died when you sent that text message. When I sat in that doctor's office, pregnant and alone, and realized the man I loved had thrown me away. Then let me meet this version of you. The woman you are now, the incredible mother, the successful business owner, the survivor. Why would I do that? Because somewhere deep down you still love me, and I still love you. And maybe, just maybe, we could—" "Don't finish that sentence." Eleanor's voice was hard. "Whatever fantasy you're building in your head, stop. I'm letting you into Sadie's life. But that's all. My life, my heart, those are off limits. You lost your chance at those 7 years ago." From the living room, they heard Sadie laugh at something Willa said. The sound made them both pause. "She sounds happy," Eleanor said softly. "I haven't heard her laugh like that in a long time." "You've given her everything," Tom said. "You've been both parents. You've loved her enough for 2 people. But Elena, she needs more than that, and so do you." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you've been surviving for 7 years. Just surviving, working yourself to death, raising a kid alone, building an empire because you had to, not because you wanted to. You told the court you almost drove off a bridge, that you sat in your car and thought about not coming back. Eleanor flinched. I told the court that in confidence. I know, but it's been haunting me. The thought that I broke you so completely that you considered leaving our daughter alone in the world. And I need to fix that, not just for Sadie, for you. You can't fix me. I'm not broken. No, you're strong, stronger than anyone I've ever known, but you shouldn't have to be. You shouldn't have had to survive alone, and now you don't have to anymore. Before Elena could respond, Sadie appeared in the kitchen doorway. Mommy, Grandma Willa says she has pictures of Tom when he was little. Can we look at them? Elena wiped her eyes quickly. Of course, baby. They all sat in the living room while Willa pulled out her phone, showing Sadie photos of Tom as a child. Sadie squealed at a picture of Tom covered in mud. You were messy, she giggled. Very messy, Willa agreed. Your mommy would have hated it. No, she wouldn't, Sadie said confidently. Mommy says getting dirty means you're having fun. Willa's eyes met Elena's across the room. You're raising her right. I'm trying. You're succeeding. She's beautiful and smart and kind. You did that. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. I mean it. I see so much of both of you in her. Tom's stubbornness, your strength. She's lucky to have you as a mother. She deserves a father too. Willa looked at Tom. Then it's a good thing he's finally figured that out. As the visit ended and Tom walked his mother to the elevator, Willa grabbed his arm. That woman raised your daughter alone through grief and poverty and loneliness. She built an empire with a baby on her hip. She survived what would have destroyed most people. And you think showing up for a week makes up for 7 years? No, I know it doesn't. Then you'd better be prepared to show up for the rest of your life, because Elena Roy deserves a man who will move mountains for her, and right now you're just moving pebbles. I'll move mountains, I promise. Willa studied her son's face. You really do love her, don't you? More than I thought was possible to love someone. Then prove it, not with words, with actions, every single day, until she believes you. As Tom rode the elevator back down, his phone buzzed with an email from his board of directors. Emergency meeting called. Investor pressure. Company in crisis without his full attention. Tom deleted the email without reading the rest. He had a daughter to pick up from school tomorrow, and a woman to prove himself to. The company could wait. For the first time in 7 years, Tom Bruce knew exactly what his priorities were. Chapter 7. The best friend who remembers Tom showed up at Elena's building every morning at 6:30 to make breakfast, every day at 3 to pick Sadie up from school, every night at 5 for homework time. He was consistent for a week, then 2 weeks, then a month. Elena watched him like a hawk, waiting for him to fail. But he didn't. On a Friday afternoon, as Tom was helping Sadie with her math homework, someone knocked on the door. Elena opened it to find Quincy standing there, Tom's best friend from their old life. Hey, Elena, Quincy said softly. Long time. Elena stared at him, clearly surprised. Quincy, what are you doing here? Needed to talk to my boy. Quincy looked past her to where Tom was sitting with Sadie, both of them bent over a workbook. Heard he's been playing dad. Wanted to see if it was real or another Tom Bruce performance. Eleanor's jaw tightened. He's been consistent. For a month. That's nothing. I know that. You don't have to tell me. Quincy studied her face. You know, I watched you two fall in love. Was there for all of it. The late-night talks. The way he looked at you like you were the only person in the world. The way you believed in him when no one else did. Why are you telling me this? Because I also watched him destroy it. Watched him throw you away like you were nothing. Watched him block your calls, ignore your emails, act like you never existed. And I told him he was making the biggest mistake of his life. He wouldn't listen. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Then what do you want from me? I want you to know that the Tom sitting in there with your daughter, that's not the same guy who left you. That guy was a coward. This one, I don't know what he is yet, but he's trying. Trying isn't enough. No, it's not, but it's a start. Tom appeared in the doorway, Sadie on his hip. Quincy, what are you doing here? Checking on you, making sure you're not screwing this up. Sadie looked at Quincy curiously. Are you Tom's friend? I am, have been since we were kids. Were you there when Tom and Mommy were in love? The adults all froze. Quincy knelt down to Sadie's level. I was. And you know what? Your Mommy and Daddy were the kind of in love that makes other people jealous. Everyone who saw them wanted what they had. What did they have? Real love. The kind that doesn't come around often. The kind people write songs about. Sadie looked at Elena, then at Tom. Can they have it again? That's up to your mom, little one. But I'll tell you something. Your dad loves your mom more now than he did back then, because now he knows what it's like to lose her. Tom's voice was rough. Quincy, no, man. Someone needs to say it. Quincy stood, looking at Elena. I was at Tom's place last night. You know what he was doing? Looking at old pictures of you two, crying like a baby, saying your name over and over. He's been doing that every night since the courthouse. Elena's face crumbled. Stop! He sold his company. Everyone went silent. What? Tom's voice was sharp. Quincy, don't. She deserves to know. He sold his company, Elena. The thing he chose over you, the empire he built. He sold it yesterday, walked away from everything. Elena stared at Tom. Is that true? Tom set Sadie down gently. Baby, can you go play in your room for a few minutes? Grown-ups need to talk. Sadie looked between the adults, sensing the tension, but nodded and left. The moment her door closed, Elena turned on Tom. You sold your company? I had to. Why? Because I can't be the CEO and be the father Sadie needs. I can't be at board meetings and pick her up from school. I can't travel for business and make her breakfast every morning. Something had to give. So you gave up everything? No, I gave up nothing. That company was nothing. Money is nothing. Success is nothing. Sadie is everything. You're everything. And I finally figured that out. Elena sank onto the couch. You're an idiot. I know. You should have figured this out 7 years ago. I know. You should have chosen us when it mattered. I know. Tom knelt in front of her. But I'm choosing you now. Both of you. Choosing you over everything. And I'll keep choosing you for the rest of my life if you let me. Elena looked at Quincy. Did you know he was going to do this? Not until yesterday. He called me after signing the papers, said he needed to tell someone, said he'd finally done something right. Elena covered her face with her hands. I can't do this. I can't let myself hope again, not after. Then don't hope, Tom said. Just let me keep showing up. Let me keep proving it. I don't need you to forgive me. I don't need you to love me back. I just need you to let me be here. Why? Elena's voice broke. Why now? Why not when I was pregnant and terrified? Why not when Sadie was a baby and I was drowning? Why not when I needed you? Because I was blind. Because I was stupid. Because I thought success meant money and power instead of love and family. And by the time I realized what I'd lost, it was too late. Quincy cleared his throat. I should go, but Elena, for what it's worth, I've known this man my whole life. I've never seen him fight for anything the way he's fighting for you and Sadie right now. That's got to count for something. After Quincy left, Elena and Tom sat in silence for a long moment. I need you to understand something, Elena finally said. Even if you prove yourself to Sadie, even if you become the world's best father, that doesn't mean you get me back. My heart isn't some prize you win by being a good dad. I'm a separate person with separate feelings, and right now those feelings are mostly anger and pain. I understand. Do you? Because you keep looking at me like you're waiting for me to forgive you, like you expect some movie moment where I realize I still love you and we all live happily ever after. But that's not how this works. You broke something in me that might never heal. Then tell me how to fix it. You can't. That's what I'm trying to say. Some things once broken can't be fixed. They can only be rebuilt into something new, something different, and I don't know if I have the energy to rebuild. Tom took her hand. She didn't pull away, but she didn't squeeze back either. Then let me do the work. Let me be the one who rebuilds. You just rest. You've been fighting alone for 7 years. Let me fight now. Elena finally looked at him, really looked at him. You sold your company. It was just a company. It was your dream. No, you were my dream. I just forgot for a while. Elena pulled her hand away, stood up. I need time. Time to process this. Time to figure out what I feel beyond anger. Take all the time you need, I'll be here. As Tom stood to leave, Eleanor's voice stopped him at the door. Tom, thank you for picking Sadie up every day. She's happier than I've seen her in years. She's my daughter. Where else would I be? After Tom left, Eleanor went to Sadie's room, found her daughter sitting on her bed, holding Mr. Floppy, looking worried. Is Tom leaving again? Sadie asked in a small voice. No, baby, he's not leaving. He's just going home for the night. But he'll come back tomorrow? Yes, he'll come back. Sadie hugged Mr. Floppy tight. Mommy, do you think you'll ever love Tom again? Eleanor sat on the bed, pulled her daughter close. I don't know, sweetheart. Love is complicated when someone hurts you. But Grandma Willa says you can love things even when they're broken. That's what I did with Mr. Floppy when his ear fell off. I still loved him. Elena kissed her daughter's forehead. You're very wise, you know that? I get it from you. That night, after Sadie was asleep, Elena did something she hadn't done in years. She pulled out the shoebox from under her bed, the one with Sadie's ultrasound pictures, the hospital bracelet, the onesie that said Daddy's Girl she'd bought when she first found out she was pregnant, and at the bottom, a printed email she'd written to Tom, but never sent, dated the day after Sadie was born. Dear Tom, we have a daughter. Her name is Sadie Louise. She has your eyes, your dimples, your stubborn chin. She's perfect. I'm alone and terrified. My parents died while I was pregnant. You're gone. I have no one. But when I look at her, I see us. I see what we were, what we could have been. I hate you. I love you. I don't know how to do this without you. But I'm going to try. For her. Love, Elena. Elena read it for the first time in 7 years and let herself cry. Really cry. For the girl she'd been, for the love she'd lost, for the 7 years of raising their daughter alone, and for the possibility that maybe, just maybe, broken things could be rebuilt into something new. Chapter 8. The family turns against him. The next family dinner at Willa and Ford's house was the first time Tom's entire family had gathered since the courtroom. His sister Piper brought her husband Rhett. His aunt Ruth came, his cousin Landry, everyone, and Elena and Sadie were invited too. Tom picked them up, and the car ride was tense. Elena sat in front, silent. Sadie chattered in the back about how excited she was to meet more family. Is there going to be other kids there? Sadie asked. My cousin Landry has twin girls your age, Tom said. Ivy and Ruby. I think you'll like them. When they arrived at his parents' house, Willa opened the door and immediately pulled Elena into a hug. Elena stiffened, then slowly relaxed, hugging back. Thank you for coming, Willa whispered. This means everything. Inside, the family was gathered in the living room. When Tom walked in with Elena and Sadie, everyone went quiet. Piper was the first to move. She walked straight to Elena, tears already falling. I'm so sorry, Piper said. I saw you at that gala. I saw Sadie. I should have asked. I should have done something. You didn't know, Eleanor said quietly. But I should have. We all should have. We all loved you. And when Tom left you, we should have checked on you. We should have made sure you were okay. Tom's Aunt Ruth approached next, looking at Sadie with wonder. You look exactly like Tom did at your age. Sadie beamed. Everyone says that. Landry's twin daughters ran up, shyly asking Sadie if she wanted to play. The three girls disappeared into the playroom, leaving the adults standing in awkward silence. Tom's father, Ford, finally spoke. Tom, can I talk to you? Outside. They went to the back porch. Ford closed the door behind them, then turned to his son with an expression Tom had never seen before. Pure disappointment. You sold your company without telling me. I had to. Without even asking for advice. Without thinking about the consequences. Just sold it like it was nothing. It was nothing compared to what? Compared to the family you abandoned. Compared to the woman you destroyed. You think selling a company makes up for 7 years? Tom's jaw clenched. No, I don't. But I can't be a CEO and be the father Sadie needs. So you give up everything? Go from one extreme to the other? That's not balance, Tom. That's guilt. What do you want me to say, Dad? That I made mistakes? I did. Huge ones. That I'm trying to fix them? I am. That I'd give up everything to go back and choose differently? I would. But I can't. So I'm doing what I can now. Ford was quiet for a long moment. Your mother and I talked about whether to support you in this, whether you deserve another chance. And I don't think you do. I think you threw away the best thing that ever happened to you, and now you're scrambling to put the pieces back together. But your mother reminded me that this isn't about you. It's about Sadie, and that little girl deserves a father. She does. But Elena deserves more than a man driven by guilt. She deserves a man who loves her because of who she is now, not who she was. Can you be that man? Tom looked through the window at Eleanor, who was laughing at something Willa said. She looked lighter than she had in weeks. Happy. I'm trying to be. Trying isn't enough. You need to figure out who you are without the company, without the success, without all the things you chose over her, because if you can't, you'll just end up hurting her again, and I won't stand by and watch you destroy my daughter-in-law twice. She's not your daughter-in-law. She should have been. Would have been if you hadn't been an idiot. So as far as I'm concerned, she is, and I will protect her from you if I have to. The words hit Tom like a punch, his own father choosing Elena over him. Back inside, dinner was served. Sadie sat between Tom and Elena, chattering happily about playing with Ivy and Ruby. Elena was quiet, but she wasn't tense. She was actually relaxing, talking to Willa about the spa business, laughing at Piper's stories about her kids. Watching Elena in his family home, surrounded by people who loved her, Tom realized something. She'd never stopped being part of this family. He was the one who'd left. She'd just been waiting to be invited back. After dinner, while the kids played and the adults had coffee, Tom's Aunt Ruth pulled him aside. I told you and Elena at Thanksgiving all those years ago that you had real love, the kind most people never find. I remember. My Henry died suddenly, heart attack. We didn't get to say goodbye. And you know what I regretted most? Not all the places we didn't travel or things we didn't buy. I regretted the time I wasted being mad at him over stupid things, the arguments that didn't matter, the grudges I held for no reason. Aunt Ruth, I'm telling you this because Elena has every right to hate you, to never forgive you. But life is short, Tom, and real love is rare. If there's even a chance you two could find your way back to each other, you'd better fight for it. Because losing love by choice is worse than losing it to death. At least with death, you don't have to live with the what-ifs. As the evening wound down and Tom drove Elena and Sadie home, Sadie fell asleep in the back seat. Elena stared out the window, quiet. Your family loves you, Tom said softly. They always did. I know. I miss them. They missed you too. My mum cried after you left tonight, said she'd gotten her daughter back. Elena smiled slightly. Your mum is something else. She told me if I mess this up again, she's disowning me and keeping you and Sadie. Elena laughed, a real laugh. The first one Tom had heard from her in years. I like her priorities. They pulled up to Elena's building. Tom carefully lifted Sadie out of the car seat, cradling his daughter against his chest. Elena led them upstairs, and Tom carried Sadie to her bed, tucking her in without waking her. When he came back to the living room, Elena was standing by the window, looking out at the city. Thank you for tonight, she said, for including us. Sadie had a great time. You're part of the family. You always were. I wasn't sure I'd ever feel that way again. Tom walked over, stood beside her at the window, not touching but close. Elena, I need to tell you something. What? I'm seeing a therapist. Have been for 2 weeks, trying to figure out why I made the choices I did, why I threw away everything good in my life. Elena looked at him, surprised. What have you learned? That I was terrified, of commitment, of losing my identity in a relationship, of becoming my father, who gave up his dreams to raise a family. I thought if I chose you, I'd lose myself. So I chose success instead. And in doing so, I lost everything that actually mattered. And now I know that loving you, being Sadie's father, that's not losing myself. That's finding myself, the best version of myself, the man I was always supposed to be. Elena turned away from the window, from him. I can't do this right now. I'm not asking you to. I just wanted you to know. Know what? That I'm doing the work, real work, not just showing up for Sadie, but figuring out why I hurt you, so I never do it again. To anyone. Elena's eyes filled with tears. I need you to leave now. Okay. As Tom walked to the door, Elena called his name. He turned. I'm proud of you, for going to therapy, for doing the actual work. That takes courage. I should have done it 7 years ago. Yes, you should have, but you're doing it now. That's something. Tom left, and Elena closed the door behind him, then slid down to the floor and cried, because she could feel her walls crumbling, could feel herself starting to hope. And hope was the most dangerous thing in the world. Chapter 9. The moment everything peaks. It happened on a random Tuesday. Tom was at Elena's building at 6:30 as usual to make breakfast. But when Elena opened the door, something was wrong. Sadie's sick, Elena said, her voice tight. High fever. I can't get it down. I'm taking her to the hospital. Tom didn't hesitate. I'm coming with you. Tom, you don't have to. I'm coming. They drove to the hospital in tense silence, Sadie whimpering in the back seat, her little body burning up. Tom held her hand the whole way, whispering that it would be okay, while Elena drove with white knuckles gripping the steering wheel. At the emergency room they had to wait. 2 hours. Sadie got worse, crying that her head hurt, that her stomach hurt, that everything hurt. Tom held her the entire time, rocking her, singing the lullaby his mother had taught him. Elena sat beside them, watching her daughter suffer, helpless to fix it. When they finally called Sadie's name, the doctor examined her and said they needed to run tests. Possible meningitis. The word made Elena's face go white. We need to admit her. Run a spinal tap. IV antibiotics just to be safe while we wait for results. Sadie started crying harder. I don't want a spinal tap. Mommy, no. Elena was falling apart, trying to stay strong, but Tom could see her breaking. He pulled her aside while nurses prepped Sadie. I've got this, he said. Let me take her for the procedure. You need a minute. I can't leave her. You're not leaving her. I'm her father. Let me do this, please. Eleanor looked at Sadie, then at Tom. Finally nodded, tears streaming down her face. Tom went with Sadie to the procedure room. She was screaming, terrified, grabbing at his shirt. "Daddy, make them stop. Please, it's going to hurt." Tom's heart shattered at hearing her call him daddy for the first time. "I know, baby, I know, but they need to do this to make you better. I'll be right here. I'm not leaving, I promise." "Promise?" "I promise on everything I am." The procedure was awful. Sadie screamed and Tom cried with her, holding her hand, letting her squeeze until his fingers went numb. When it was over, they moved her to a room and started the IV antibiotics. Elena appeared in the doorway, looking like she'd aged 10 years. "She's okay," Tom said immediately. She was so brave. Elena collapsed into the chair beside the bed, holding Sadie's other hand. Sadie was exhausted, crying softly. "Mommy, it hurt so much." "I know, baby. I'm so sorry." "But Daddy stayed. He didn't leave." Eleanor looked at Tom over their daughter's bed, and something in her expression shifted. The test results came back hours later, not meningitis, just a severe infection that needed IV antibiotics for a few days. They'd keep her in the hospital to monitor her. It was 2 in the morning. Elena was slumped in the chair, half asleep. Sadie was finally sleeping peacefully, her fever coming down. Tom went to the hospital cafeteria, got 2 terrible coffees, brought one back to Elena. She took it gratefully. "You can go home," Elena said. "Get some sleep. I'll stay with her." "I'm not leaving." "Tom, I said I'm not leaving. I'm her father. Where else would I be?" Elena stared at him and tears started falling again. "You called yourself her father." "I am her father." "No, I mean, you've been saying I'm Tom this whole time, but just now with the nurses you said I'm her father. Like you believe it now." "Because I do. She called me daddy during the spinal tap, first time ever. And something clicked. I'm not just Tom anymore, I'm her dad. And that means I don't leave when things get hard. I stay." Eleanor put her coffee down, covered her face with her hands, and sobbed. Tom moved to her, pulled her up out of the chair, and held her while she broke down completely. "I can't do this anymore," Elena cried into his chest. "I can't keep pretending I don't need you. I can't keep fighting alone. I'm so tired, Tom, so tired." "Then stop fighting. Let me carry some of it. Let me be here. What if you leave again?" "I won't." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do, because I know what it's like to lose you now. And I'd rather die than go through that again." Elena pulled back, looked up at him. "Do you know what it was like those 7 years? It was like drowning. Every day, I'd wake up and think, I can't do this. But then I'd look at Sadie and force myself to keep going. But I was never living, just surviving, just getting through each day. You don't have to just survive anymore." "Don't I? What changed? You showing up for a few months doesn't erase 7 years." "No, it doesn't. Nothing can. But Elena, I sold my company. I go to therapy. I show up every single day. I held our daughter through the worst pain of her life. I'm trying to be the man you deserved back then, and I'll keep trying until you believe me." "I'm scared." "Of what?" "Of letting you in, of hoping, of believing this is real, and then waking up one day and finding out you're gone again." Tom cupped her face in his hands. "Look at me. Really look at me. I'm not that man anymore. That man was broken and scared and stupid. This man knows what matters, and what matters is you and Sadie. Nothing else." Elena searched his eyes and Tom let her. Let her see everything. The regret, the pain, the love, the determination. "I don't know if I can trust you," Elena whispered. "Then don't trust me. Trust my actions. I've been showing up for 2 months. I'll show up for 2 years. 20 years, however long it takes." They stood there in the hospital room, their daughter sleeping beside them, and something broke open between them. 7 years of walls and pain and anger cracking. Elena didn't say she forgave him, didn't say she loved him, but she didn't pull away when Tom kept holding her. And when she finally sat back down in her chair, she didn't protest when Tom pulled his chair close and held her hand. They sat like that all night, holding hands, watching their daughter sleep, not talking, just being together. When morning came and Sadie woke up, the first thing she said was, "You both stayed." "Of course we did," Elena said. "Both of you, together, like a real family." Tom squeezed Elena's hand. She squeezed back, and for the first time in 7 years, they felt like they might actually have a chance at becoming a family again. Chapter 10. What Love Looks Like Now. 3 months since the hospital, Tom had shown up every single day without fail. He'd learned Elena took her coffee with 1 sugar and cinnamon, that she had nightmares sometimes and would call him at 2 in the morning just to hear his voice. He'd learned Sadie hated green beans but loved broccoli, that she could do cartwheels now, that her favorite subject was art. It was Thursday afternoon, parent-teacher conference day. Tom sat beside Elena in tiny chairs designed for 6-year-olds, their knees almost touching. "Mr. and Ms. Roy," Miss Rivera said, smiling. "It's Bruce," Tom corrected gently. "I'm Tom Bruce, Sadie's father." Miss Rivera pulled out a folder. "Sadie has been completely different these past months, happier, more confident. She wrote an essay for our family unit. Would you like to hear it?" They both nodded. Miss Rivera read, "My family broke, but now we're putting the pieces back together. My daddy made a big mistake, but he comes to everything now. My mommy is the strongest person ever. She took care of me when it was just us. Now I have a daddy and a mommy and grandma and grandpa and aunt and uncle and cousins, and it's a lot of people to love. My teacher says broken things can be fixed. I think my teacher is right. Love can fix anything if you try hard enough." Elena's tears hit the paper. Tom's vision blurred. Miss Rivera handed them the essay. At the bottom was a drawing, 3 stick figures holding hands, labeled "Mommy, Me, Daddy." Behind them, a house with a heart. "She drew what she hopes for," Miss Rivera said softly. "A complete family." In the parking lot, Tom opened Elena's car door. An old habit returned. "Tom," Elena said, "I need to tell you something." His heart stopped. "Okay." "I've been seeing a therapist too, for the past month. She asked me last week what I wanted, not what's best for Sadie, what I want." Tom waited, barely breathing. "I told her I wanted to stop being angry, that I was tired of carrying it." Eleanor looked at him. "She asked if I still loved you. I said yes. I never stopped. Then I cried for the entire session because I've been trying so hard not to love you." "Eleanor, I'm not done." She asked why I was fighting it. "I realized loving you was what got me hurt. So if I could stop loving you, maybe I'd be safe." She paused. "Then Sadie got sick. I watched you hold her through that spinal tap. Stay all night, show up every single day. And I realized, you're not the man who left. That man is gone. The man standing here chooses us, every single day." "What are you saying?" "I'm ready to stop fighting, ready to try. Not to go back to what we were, to build something new, something better." She smiled. "Let's go on a date, Saturday night, just us." "Yes. When should I pick you up?" 7 o'clock. Saturday came. Tom arrived at exactly 7 with daisies from the farmer's market, her favorite. "You remembered," Elena said, taking them. "I remember everything." They went to the small Italian restaurant in Brooklyn where they'd gone on their 3rd date years ago. Giuseppe, the owner, recognized them immediately. "Elena and Tom, together. I thought I'd never see this day." They sat at the same table, ordered the same dishes, and talked. Really talked. Elena told him about building the spa, the sleepless nights, the day she opened her 5th location and realized she'd made it. "I wanted to call you every time something good happened, every milestone. Then I'd remember you weren't there anymore. I'm here now." Tom told her about selling the company, about therapy, about realizing every achievement felt hollow because he had no one to share it with. Ivy wasn't you. Nothing was you. You and I. That was real. After dinner, they walked through Prospect Park. When Eleanor shivered, Tom gave her his jacket. "This feels like time travel," Elena said. "Except we're different people now. Better people. You definitely are. Stronger. You survived something that would have destroyed most people." Elena stopped walking. "Can I tell you something? There were days I hated Sadie, just for a second. Because when I looked at her, I saw you, saw what you'd taken from me. I felt horrible for even thinking it. Elena." But then she'd smile or laugh or do something purely her, and I'd fall in love all over again. She saved me. When I wanted to give up, she gave me a reason to keep going. Tom pulled Elena close. She didn't resist. "I'm sorry," Tom whispered, "for all of it. For leaving. For making you raise her alone. For breaking you. You can't keep apologizing forever. Watch me." Elena pulled back, looked up at him. "Kiss me. I need to know if it still feels the same." Tom cupped her face and kissed her. Gentle at first, then deeper. It felt like coming home. Like 7 years melted away. When they pulled apart, both were crying. "It feels the same," Elena whispered. "How does it still feel the same?" "Because some loves don't die, they just wait." Outside Eleanor's building, neither wanted the night to end. "I'm not ready to invite you up," Eleanor said. "Not yet." "I know, I'll wait." "How long?" "However long it takes." Eleanor kissed him again. Quick, soft. "Good night, Tom." As Tom walked away, Elena called his name. "Yeah? I love you. I just needed you to know. I still love you. Probably always will." Tom smiled through tears. "I love you too." Never stopped. 6 months later, Sadie's 7th birthday party filled Prospect Park with laughter, both families together. Sadie ran around with Poppy and her cousins covered in cake and happiness. Tom and Elena sat on a blanket watching their daughter, hands intertwined. "She asked me this morning if we were getting married," Elena said. "What did you tell her?" "That grown-ups don't rush these things, that we're taking our time, building something real." "And what do you think about marriage?" Elena looked at him. "Ask me in a year." "A year?" "I need to know you're not going anywhere. Need to know this is permanent before I say yes to forever." "I'm not going anywhere, but I understand. I'll wait a year, 10 years, whatever you need." They watched Sadie blow out candles, surrounded by everyone who loved her. Tom realized this was what he'd been chasing all along. Not success, not money. This, family, love, home. "Tom," Eleanor said quietly. "Yeah?" "Thank you for coming back, for fighting for us, for being the man Sadie wishes for on every birthday. Thank you for giving me the chance, for letting me prove I changed." Sadie ran over, chocolate cake on her face. "Mommy, Daddy, come play with us." "Daddy." She said it without thinking now. Natural as breathing. They stood, let their daughter pull them toward the other kids. As they walked hand in hand, Sadie between them, Tom caught Elena's eye over their daughter's head. She smiled. He smiled back. They weren't perfect. They weren't fixed. But they were healing. Together. And that was enough. For now, that was more than